your guide through the world of entertainment, arts, and culture. Now, like I rightly said, talent is the currency of creativity, and as one of the biggest exports of our creative economy, the talent of each individual remains central to the development of this industry, this creative industry that we are in. However, like every other beautiful raw material in its raw form, obviously, there isn't much we can do with it when it's in that state. So how do we mine this talent? How do we ensure optimal creative expression? Now, my guest on Rise 360 today, award-winning manager, producer Steven Adams, is a founding partner at Alta Global Media, where he represents international media and companies and talent. Now, he has worked closely on several projects, including James Cameron's Avatar, Ang Lee's Life of Pi, Thor, of Marvel Studios, Green Lantern, Spike Lee, Black Klansman, and also represented several global superstars. And he joins me on the show now because when I think talent, I think, you know what? If you've done it and if you've been around it, then you understand it.
Yes.
I think talent is such a, it sounds easy, like everybody has talent, but then I believe that you need to have a certain eye to spot it. So how does it work for you? How do you know talent when you see it?
You know, for me, it's a complicated question. I love the fact that you made this like kind of a deep discussion.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's, first of all, you have to put your instincts into play. And then when you see somebody who has a talent, whether, I guess in our case, we're talking about directing, writing, or acting, I also have to look at the morality, the work ethic, the stamina, the reality of somebody who's been grounded in the fact that we are dealing with things that are imaginative, but they also have to be married very carefully to business.
Yeah.
I think that's where people fall down sometimes, is that, you know, you have to, your dream is not the dream of a financier. The financier wants to make money, so somehow your case has to match with theirs. So I think that in talking about success in our business, one of my big things is to teach creatives to also learn and respect business and learn it very well, because the biggest stars in the world are very good business people.
You know, that's interesting you'd say, because oftentimes we try to separate the both of them. We would say, for instance, music. It's one thing to have talent, it's another thing to understand the business of music. But it's a whole ballgame entirely, the business, and most talents don't want to have to get into the nitty-gritty of that. So how do we balance that out, considering that I don't want to be stressed with all this business jargon. I just want to sing or I just want to dance. How does that work?
Okay, my feeling is this. That is great in the beginning when that is, you know, you're just trying to get a grip on your talent. But the reality is that once you start moving into a place where opportunities are coming, it necessitates that you learn business. And I think in a way you will actually be more comfortable if you know you've got your house in order. And you know, when you're out there like on Beyonce, Jay-Z level, these are also moguls, and those things are meshed almost perfectly, so that their business drives their creativity, and each thing kind of moves it all forward. It's driven by the creativity, but is matched by, you know, impeccable business skills.
I love that you mentioned that. Even now I'm starting to think, okay, so for every industry that exists, there is a business formula that guides it. Am I right?
Without a doubt.
So for every industry, say for instance, I'm in more than one, assuming I'm a triple threat. We find a lot of those in Hollywood.
Yes.
Look at somebody like, say, Kevin Hart, you know, or Jennifer Lopez, or Jennifer Hudson. These are people, they act, they sing, they can talk, they can present. So there are multiple, you know, talents. So in that case, how do you manage that?
It's not a small feat. I mean, it does take a lot of, you know, personal discipline, but I think that, you know, at some point there becomes this sort of immersion or merging, so that, you know, when you're doing business, you also have you see that you're actually building your own the imaginary world that you want to inhabit, or you see what you can do with a song, or you see what you can do with a new way of doing business with you know, distributing your films or whatever.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think they go hand in hand. I really do.
So what would you say, because there's so many talents in the world, I'd always say this. Yes, we have popular quotes that, oh, the sky is big enough for everyone to fly, no competition, you know, things like that. But there's so many talented people in the world. For instance, AFRIFF, there's 150 different movies.
There are.
That is a lot of films.
And I can't see them all, and I want to see them all. I want to see every single one of them.
I agree. It's so hard. There are so many talented people. But I find that not everybody really gets there, and they complain. They're like, oh, they're not paying attention to me. Or, for instance, Steven Adams is on the show. how do I meet to Steven Adams, for instance? Why can't you see me, Steven Adams? Be my man. You know, there's so many talents out there, but what would you say is the challenge as to why a lot of these talents cannot move past that phase of just being talented to being a successful talent?
Well, we live in a very noisy era. You know, we can all communicate in ways that were, you know, and even 10 years ago were controlled by a small number of people. You know, you had to be in a television show, in a magazine, the radio, whatever, or a newspaper. These were, you know, a very 20th century form of communication, and they were controlled and very limited. Now everyone has the ability to speak, which means you have the means, but you also have the competition. So you have to kind of take the good with the bad. And, you know, it means you've got to really be creative with what's out there. Obviously, you see people who can get the attention of millions of people. Some of them are gimmicks, they will not last. Others are people who are doing things that will last a lifetime and beyond. So I think you have to really learn how to master those tools. But I will say it's never been easier to make yourself heard if you want to be. I can DM you.
Yeah.
As long as that makes sense.
It does.
You know, gotta make sense.
I like, and I said this to someone the other day because someone asked me, oh, Kachi, listen, I would like to meet this person and I want them to mentor me. And I said, listen, when it comes to mentorship and learning, social media has made it easy because I could literally watch this interview and glean wisdom from it and know how to just push forward. Now, speaking about learning from other people, I want to talk about some talents that you've worked with. Rise, for instance, I had Jimmy Jean-Louis last week Friday on Arise 360. We had a fantastic conversation about him being in Nigeria and working. And the movie that he won the AMA for as well, he won an award.
It premiered last night.
Exactly,
Rise,
premiered last night. So walk me through that process of working with him. How would you describe him as a talent?
Well, Jimmy is, you know, what I almost consider like the model client for me because my company is Alta Global Media. And Jimmy is the epitome of a global talent. The man speaks multiple languages, he works in multiple territories, and he does it with a lot of ease. He has embraced these opportunities and meets filmmakers where they are. You know, in some cases, you know, we've done strategic alliances with people in small territories. Others, you know, but it adds up to something quite amazing.
It does.
And, you know, he has an enviable career because of it.
It's interesting to know because I love, you mentioned something earlier on morality and discipline.
Yes.
You know, and now I want you to just expatiate on those two elements briefly because I think sometimes I feel like, you know, because we see our celebrities get all naughty on social media, we assume, listen, I can do whatever I want. I'm popular. You know, but it doesn't really work that way, does it?
Honestly, in life, how long can you do that? It's like living on sugar every day.
Yeah.
At some point, you're going to have bad teeth. You know, you want to, you know, get some vegetables and some exercise.
I agree with you.
But I mean, you know, all joking aside, I mean, I think when I mention morality, I also think there is a tendency to selfishness. And some people think that's actually a good method, and for a short time it may work. But the reality is, if I DM you and everything I say is, I want this, 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 I mean, I'm turning you into a shopping list for myself. That's not very interesting.
So what am I supposed to do then? Because I don't know what you want.
Well, you should ask. How can I help you? What can I do to be, or actually think a little bit longer about why you're contacting somebody. You can't just say hi, I'll say hi. We're good, right?
I love that. I think I just, because I always hate when people send me hi. I'm like,
and you like say hi.
What am I supposed to say
and
back?
We're good. There's a funny cliche. It's like they always say in Hollywood, if you knock on somebody's door, you need to know why you're knocking. And it's not because, you know, you want to tell them how great they are. They probably already know that. You know. Do they have any confidence? Also, but I think you have to analyze the person you're calling. You know, why are you interested in this person? They must have a set of qualities. They must have done something you're interested in. There must be something you can learn. If you humble yourself and say, hey, I would just like to have a brief conversation about how you did this, this, and this. I'm curious about how it might apply to me. That's more interesting than, you know, I need this, I need this. I honestly won't respond to that.
You know who I blame, Stephen? And I'm sorry to say this, I blame the motivational speakers.
Right. Because
they tell you, go for it. Listen, get in the elevator pitch.
Right.
Go in there, say, hi, Steven Adams, I'm Kachi Ofian, I'm the best presenter you've ever met. I want you to help me put this and this, and I want you, and I want, and I want, and I want. But that's it. They say, go for it.
Don't you feel like you're just wilting when somebody talks to you like that?
I do. I feel like it's literally aggressive.
It is aggressive and selfish.
Exactly.
Because I think that any long-term relationship, whatever it is a partnership. And there has to be some concern about the other person that you're trying to walk through your life with. You know, so, because I think that this is a tough business, it's a demanding business, and it takes everything we have.
It does.
So I need somebody I know who is not riding my back until they find a stronger horse and they leave me.
I know.
You know?
Oh my gosh, you put it out so well. But isn't that? But then again, there's this popular cliche. It's a dog eat dog space, especially because Hollywood. Hello,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
in Hollywood. So
Yes.
for Hollywood, how would you say, or how would you assess how it works there? Because I mean, listen, no one. Look at what happened with Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow,
Right.
and Disney, where
Right.
she says, "Listen, this is the contract that we signed, but this is how much money I could have gotten from this. So Disney owes me more money." Meanwhile, they've had a you did Thor, the Marvel Cinematic Studio. It's like the bedrock for everything the Marvel has done. The characters, Black
Right.
Widow, Thor, Captain America. I would have never imagined she would come out to call out Disney ever in my life. So when you look at relationships like that, how much care can you really care, really?
Okay, I gotta choose my words very diplomatically. I think that there's a tendency on the part of corporations to somehow move things forward in the way they always have. And one thing I will say about that situation is that it was kind of an unforeseen consequence. That there was a film that was intended to be distributed. It was put online because of the pandemic, and therefore treated differently than it was intended to be.
Yeah.
So I think that the natural reaction of her team was that since we're doing this, we actually need to renegotiate.
Exactly.
And I think that's a better way to look at it, that the circumstances demanded a relook at the legal aspects. I think that's and when it goes back to the same thing.
It does.
You've got to know your worth, you've got to understand your business, and you've got to get up there where you understand what the hell a lawyer is talking about before you sign it.
You do, and I love that we've touched on this. Now, I want us to delve into some productions because I know Netflix Africa is doing a lot of beautiful work right now, especially like not just in Nigeria. I know it's also happening in other parts of Africa, in South Africa. There's so many beautiful projects that are coming up, and one that I'm most excited about is this 3-part deal with Mandla Walter Dubé.
Yes.
Now, in September, he did a project for Netflix that everyone at the Heart of the I can't remember.
Heart of the Hunter.
Heart of the Hunter, exactly. Heart of the Hunter, and everyone is raving about this project. And I know that this 3-part deal is specifically for Netflix Africa.
Yes.
So talk to me about that.
Well, thank you for bringing that up. I mean, first of all, Heart of the Hunter, everybody's excited about that. It's based on a novel by Dion Taylor, a very big bestseller in South Africa. It'll be hitting Netflix in January. And then Silverton Siege was the film that he did prior to that just, really was the most successful film for Netflix Africa so far. And so that's what helped us to get the deal that we made with them. And so we're very excited about that collaboration. I mean, I think Netflix is doing great things and, becoming a strong partner on the continent.
Okay, so quick selfish question, if I might add.
So we already said something about selfishness.
Oh, we did. But it's not that bad.
Okay, not
it's
that
just
selfish.
teeny weeny
All
bit.
right.
Now, 3-part deal, I'm thinking, where are you looking to explore in terms of, the direction for these projects? Is that something you can speak on? What direction are you looking at? What kind of stories?
More like we're finding our way together with Netflix. And Mandla's got so many projects coming in, it's crazy.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's great.
When I think of Netflix Africa as a whole, I think it's been a significant growth so far. Did you envision this project kicking off as swiftly as it did? Because it's really just gone over the roof. The story I played earlier was Amazon Prime.
Right.
And once upon a time, we didn't really have these conversations, but now it's basically...
And not that long ago.
And I know, not that long ago. Now it is the norm.
Yeah. I think it's going to get better. I think more people are going to wake up to all of the creativity. I mean, this is a massive continent with a massive population. I mean, the Nigerian population alone, right? And then the youth of this population is going to be a taste mover. You're already feeling the force of it, but by 2050, which is, I hate to tell you guys, not that far away.
No, don't
everybody's
say
gonna be
that,
so
Stephen.
young.
You're going to make me feel so old. Don't say that.
Everybody's going to be so young.
I agree.
And that's going to put the world in a...
I need you to play devil's advocate for me now, Stephen. And it takes us back to our conversation in Scouting for Greatness. Now, I've had a lot of even Jimmy John Louise said it. He said, listen, when it looks at Nollywood and the African continent in general and our industries when it comes to movies, he feels like we need, and this is as Africans, he said that he feels like Africans need to do more in protecting the art, the culture, and heritage of Africans. Because if we do not do that, then what we will have is other people tell us what our art, culture, and heritage is from their own perspective.
Right.
And he says, as it is, it's already happening. So what's your assessment of that statement?
I mean, I think that's great, and it actually connects back to what you were talking about when you were saying everybody's creative. Mm-hmm. What we want is, people to be authentically who they are and what they are. And yes, we do not want some watered down international style of entertainment. I mean, you could do that where it doesn't matter. It's like, okay, we're going to just address this market and put these shiny people in there, and they're going to do a story that could take place in LA or Lagos or, Paris. It doesn't matter. So we've got to make sure that when stories are coming from here, that they're told from a point of view that is so specifically this, that it cannot be mistaken for anything else. Because, and honestly, I think audiences prefer that.
I agree, but then I'm also going to say that, do you even think that's possible?
Yes.
Because I'll tell you why I asked that question. When we saw The Woman King, it was a beautiful film, and it was the same thing of, well, it was a beautiful film, but they didn't tell our story the right way. I fear that if it's not done by people predominantly from the location who are, where the story is about, it might just be looked at as, obviously people are going to love it regardless. Right. People are going to watch it. People are going to enjoy it. But there'll just always be that air of, they didn't tell our story right. They should have done better. Does that take you off sometimes? Well,
I think I look at this as a growing curve. Mm-hmm. That, the fact that the film exists at all is, 10 years ago wouldn't have been even possible. Maybe 5 years ago. I think that where we are in terms of expressions of anybody in Africa or the African diaspora is we're on an emerging frontier. So I think we do have to be careful about the things you're talking about. But I look at this as a step forward because it opens the doors for people to even be, receptive to the stories that are more specific, more authentic, and more grounded in the specificity of a culture.
I agree with you. Now that takes me to my final conversation, which has to do with partnerships. How important is it? Because in all of this, which is why I said play devil's advocate, right. Because these are things that people would say, but the reality, I believe more in coming together, not trying to distinguish, or I don't believe in complete distinctiveness, like, I'm going to do this myself and we're just going to do it our own. I believe in coming together, collaborating, partnerships. How important is it for us to encourage more partnerships like what we're seeing with the 3-part deal with Netflix Africa, like you just spoke about?
I think partnerships are absolutely essential in life. And I think that, there was a panel at AFRIFF yesterday called Community, Not Competition.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just summed it all up, because you can't succeed by yourself. You might for a while, but for a lifetime, probably not. You need partnerships. You need trusted partnerships. You need shared morality, shared ethics, shared goals. Those things can also end, and sometimes they do.
Yeah.
But they should be ended in a way where you can still shake hands.
I agree.
We don't have to. Everything doesn't have to be a fight.
Listen, Stephen Adams, I feel like this conversation went exactly how I wanted it to, because in my capacity as an interviewer, I would often listen to everybody's side, the good, the bad, the ugly, the part that really doesn't add up, the questions, the silent questions people are asking. And oftentimes there's also a struggle, how do I put out this question without sounding like that?
Right.
But I love that we ended this by bringing it all together.
Yes.
Collaboration, not competition. How did you put it?
Community, not competition.
Community, not competition.
Yes.
And that's how I want to live this. Thank you so much, Stephen Adams.
It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Time flew by.
I know it did. Time flies when you're having fun. That's what they
true.
say.
That is true.